Can you see us out there, Dalen? What? Okay. So we're gonna attempt this again. We tried it on the computer, and that light is killing us. We tried it on the computer, and it did not work. I just don't know. They changed the OBS up or something because we have no clue what we're doing with that search engine thingy or whatever you call it to try and get live on YouTube. So we're gonna do it on our phone. So this is lame. But anyway, this is our first episode in about a year. I think we started doing Chillin with Dylan during COVID as something to do. And your top video got how many views?
257.
257 views. That's not bad for a rookie. I don't even hardly get that many views on my stuff. So today we're going to talk about the last actually year and a half. About a year and a half ago, Dylan, when I asked him what he wanted to do when he grew up, he said he still wanted to be a pastor. And he said that when you were about 4, I think. So I said, okay, well, are you serious about that? And he said, yeah. So I asked him if he wanted to go on the road with me as a little on the job training. And he said, yeah. So I forget what month it was we started. I think it was August or September of 2021. We had my first my last Gideon convention of the summer, which was in South Dakota. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
We took the van to South Dakota. We had an excellent ride together. A lot of time to talk, and there was ministry going on during the ride. Even remember, I got a couple calls from parents or who had kids who were addicted to drugs. We even had one drug addict call me, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And what did I do when I got those phone calls?
You got me here.
Got you in. Yeah, I put it right on the speaker system in the van because being a pastor doesn't mean just spending a couple hours putting a message together and coming to church. And being an evangelist ain't just going out and preaching, it's doing all this other stuff too, which is helping people out. And Dylan got to hear the nitty gritty of a drug addict and the problems that they experience and the problems parents go through with their kids and even the foul language and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I told him after our conversation that this is all part of ministry, that the biggest part is not going up on the pulpit and giving a speech or helping people encounter God. That's the real reason we're up there. But it's also to help people as much as we can because we love them because Jesus loves them. So our first trip was to South Dakota. We took the van. They had a really nice hotel and pool ready for us there. And so what did you think about it? You remember anything about that first Gideon convention there?
It's kind of blurry.
Kind of blurry. You remember anything about it?
Yes.
What do you remember?
Pizza.
Pizzas? What else do you remember?
Going around places with the what was it called? The people who took care of the kids.
People who took care of the kids, yeah. So the day that I was scheduled to speak at the Pastors Appreciation Conference, Dylan, they had a thing. Most of the Gideon conventions have something going on with the kids, and so he got hooked up with the kids, and they all went swimming and pizzas and everything else, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And you remember the name of your little friend? No, you don't remember the name of your little friend?
Mm-mm.
What else do you remember about that? Because I remember something about it.
DQ.
DQ. What about the DQ?
I had it without you.
Yeah, without me. Yeah, that was not cool, was it? So I don't know if people want to. They're welcome to chat. Welcome to live chat. Remember to go to privacy and by our community stands. I don't know if you can chat, but please feel free to ask Dylan questions and stuff too. Why don't you move over a little bit so they can see your whole face? There you go. And so yeah, he went to Dairy Queen without me. That was he almost made me use my pastor voice. The thing I remember most about that, I think, was every time I didn't see you somewhere, I looked around and you were usually sitting under the steps there, and there were 2 chairs there, and you were always sitting in one of those chairs talking to one of the older people. And that was probably your most aggressive time. We couldn't sit for 5 seconds. We went up to the room for a minute, and Dylan would be like, "Let's go do something. Let's go walk the hallways. Let's go swimming. Let's do this. Let's do that." So we got no time to sit and do anything because Dylan wanted to run around. So our second thing that we did at the end of that year was we had a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And when I asked you, do you want to do the funeral? You said, yeah, it's all part of it, ain't it? And I said, yeah, so our weddings. So Dylan also went to all the funerals and all the weddings I did. And I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 funerals that I did in the last year and a half that you were at with me.
Mm.
So do you remember any of those funerals?
Kind of hard to say. I don't really remember.
What'd you think about funerals?
They were okay.
They were okay.
One thing I remember about one of the funerals is my chocolate melted.
The chocolate melted.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the car.
Not
Was it in the car?
Van.
In the van, yeah. In the motorcycle.
Yes.
Yeah, all down my bags. It was really hot. I think that was in July or August. Yeah, we had a big chocolate bar, and it didn't last in the bags. I totally forgot it was in there.
2 of them.
Yeah. So yeah, you did 5 funerals, and like I say, funerals and weddings are probably my least favorite thing to do as a pastor. I just don't like to do them for some reason. And then the next thing on our list was the big one. So the Georgia Gideons, what was his name?
John Twilliger.
Twilliger. John Twilliger had set us up to, and I told everybody during this period of time that if they didn't agree that my son could come down with me, then just forget about it. And nobody ever had a problem with it. So John hooked us up with a hotel down there. The whole idea was this wasn't a Gideon convention. They do a lot of prison ministry down there, the Gideons do. And so John has like a conference that they do, a Gideon prison conference, and they have Gideons who are volunteers in the prisons come in, and the warden and some other people that are involved in the institution come and talk to people about the importance of going into the prisons. And so he had lined up for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 different prisons for me to speak at and then speak at that conference. So he agreed to have Dylan come down, so they got tickets for flying both of us, and that was Dylan's very first jet ride.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think about the first plane ride?
Very very blinding because it was night and the lights were very bright.
Yeah. Did you like flying?
Yes.
You want to do it again?
Yes.
And again?
Yes.
And again?
Yes.
Do you want to jump out of planes?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to parachute? So he loved his first plane ride. So yeah, we get down there, and John came and picked us up himself, and he was so apologetic. He was really bummed out, and he told me that, I don't know, the prison, the supervisor of all the prisons that had just got changed. They had a new guy come in like a month before. No one had gotten hold of him up until because you know they had to have permission for me to come in because I'm not only an ex felon but I'm still on probation, and so they had to get permission to have me come in. And he said, "Man, nobody got hold of me until last night, and last night they said that this new guy said you weren't going to be allowed to come in." So all the stuff he had scheduled for me to do that whole week I was down there got canceled, and he was so apologetic, wasn't he? He wanted to give us his van. He's handicapped. He has one of those motorized wheelchairs and a van that lifts it up in there and all that, and he's like, you can take my van and do whatever you want during the week and blah blah blah. And I'm like, listen, John, calm down, right? Mellow out. I don't want your van. And you don't understand. I haven't had a getaway or a vacation or anything like that in 2 years. I do not mind, and I'm telling you seriously, I do not mind hanging out for a week in Georgia in this warm weather, because this was like in November or something,
Probably.
in warm weather with my kid for a week with nothing to do. I'm all good with that. So he finally ceded to that, and he said, "All right, I'm going to get you out of this hotel after tonight, and you're going to come stay at my place." So.
No, it was a vacation.
It was a vacation. Yep. So that next morning, he booked us out of the hotel, drove us over to his place, which was, man, that was sweet, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It was out in the country, out in the boondocks, and he had a gated place out there, and just himself. And What?
The one thing Dad hated there was the fire ants.
The fire ants. Oh, yeah, we got to talk about the fire ants.
Piles of mounds.
Yeah, at the hotel.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, so we brought the camera down there with us, and this is when I was just starting to get into photography. It was my second camera, and there were all at the hotel, there were all these cool mounds of ant hills all over the place, weren't there? Some were huge, and you couldn't I think spit far enough before the next ant hill was there. And I'm talking about everywhere, because remember we walked up to the Waffle House and all those other places, and the ant hills were everywhere.
We took turns kicking them.
We did take turns kicking them, but not only we only kicked them after they kicked us, right?
Yeah.
Or kicked me, because my fool self, I didn't know they were fire ants. I thought they were regular ants like ours. And was it your idea? Hey, Dad, look. And you kicked it and saw all these mounds of ants coming out, and like, oh, I'll take a picture of that. So I got down on the ground with my camera and had my little macro lens on there to get close ups. And all of a sudden, Dylan's like, Dad, there's ants on you. And at that point, I felt them all like sting me all at one time. And yeah, that was my first experience with fire ants. And I had probably 6 big mounds on my body.
White spots.
Yeah, with white spots on them. Lasted about a week, didn't it? So we started kicking mounds everywhere we went. So yeah, John pulled us out of there the next day, went over to his little private place, and man, we each had our own little area to sleep in. It was nice out there, wasn't it? Wooded area, little streams and ponds and creeks all over the place. Matter of fact, he showed us one spot down the road where he said once in a while there's an alligator in there.
Yeah.
Yep. So we hung out at John's that whole week and just had a grand time. John and Dylan became really good friends, didn't you? What's some things you guys did together? Yeah, look at the audience.
I know. We talked.
You guys talked. You had John pretty much eating out of the palm of your hand. He did everything for you, didn't he? He built a fire for you. He let you throw pine cones up in there and everything else. And we were out there. We had a fire. Man, we were taking pictures of all kinds of birds and cardinals and stuff out there. We walked out in the woods, and of course, tons of other mounds, right?
And then
what was the one thing that you spotted that we got a picture of while we were out there?
A black widow.
A black widow. So we're walking along the tree line and looking for bugs and stuff to take a picture of. And Dale's like, Dad, black widow. And I'm like, whatever. No, really. So I went over there, and sure enough, it was a black widow, and we got some pictures of it, didn't we? Yeah. What else did we get pictures of down there?
Tons of cardinals.
Tons of cardinals. Yeah, a
Some
lot of
squirrels.
Squirrels. Remember the lizard?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, there was that lizard. Oh, what about the hummingbird? Tell them about the hummingbird.
Oh, yeah. So a hummingbird hit one of the shed houses, and we got to hold it. Eventually, it flew away.
Yeah, because it knocked itself out and went to the ground, and we picked it up and held it for a while, and finally came back to conscience and flew off. It was pretty cool to hold on to.
We got good pictures,
got
too.
really good close-up pictures, yeah. Yeah, what was your most memorable experience out there at John's that you'll never forget?
Probably the little Bible Gideon thing.
The Bible Gideon thing, yeah, because when we went and spoke at the prison convention thing that they had, he gave you one of those Gideon Bibles, didn't he? The special ones, the thin, long, white, red ones. Signed it for you and everything. You and John became really good friends. Really good. He really loved you a lot and welcomed you back down there anytime. And he still keeps in touch with John once in a while. He's called him, once or twice since we've been back. So, yeah, John gained a good friend, and Dylan gained a good friend. We're already 15 minutes in this. We've only covered 2-3 things.
This is going to be long.
What was the next one? The lacrosse bike blessing. Do you remember the lacrosse bike blessing?
Not really.
Okay, we went over to Jeff Stubbs' house and stayed. We think we stayed in a hotel up there. And remember, he was smoking the pig and stuff out there, and his boy's name is Dylan too. And you guys hung out all day and played.
Yeah.
motorcycles all over in the yard because every time they do the bike blessing, man, just a bunch of bikers hang out and eat pig and
Oh yeah.
work on motorcycles. And, so we got to go to that bike blessing. This is the first year I didn't speak at it because one of the guys who come to it all the time, one of Jeff's best friends, died and got hit on his motorcycle by a drunk driver and killed. So it was kind of a memorial to him. So that was a good blessing and a sad one. So his wife and his family was there, and all the proceeds went to their family, and it was pretty cool. And then we did something a little off the fly. I had been hired to do a couple of Christian music festivals, or no, one Christian music festival, one not. And I was still just learning camera. I had just gotten a different camera, my third camera by that time, my third and last. And I didn't know anything about doing concert footage, especially outside or at night. So there was a thing up in up the road here in Barnes, remember, called the Taste of Barnes, and we went up there and we took pictures of a jugglers and
Yep.
a couple of guitar players are playing by
The
themselves. And
jugglers were doing normal stuff, and then machetes.
then
all of a
machetes, they were
sudden.
juggling machetes
Mhm.
on unicycles and on top of each other.
They said they were in America's Got Talent.
Yep, America's Got Talent. They did really good. We got some really good pictures and went to a country western concert later that night. Got my first pictures in, or us. We got our first pictures in of taking photography at night with lights in the background and stuff. Did a pretty good job. And then the big one in July of last year, Virginia. How many miles did you put on the motorcycle with me?
I forget that part.
About 3,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a 1,400-mile ride. And even went on a couple of motorcycle rides while we were down there, right? We did the Jericho ride that they have every year down there, and they usually they have that the week that I'm down there, so I can do the Jericho ride with them.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we usually put on about 800 miles the first day and finish it off the second day. And did we have any problems on the way down?
Yeah.
What kind of problem did we have?
Electricity.
Electricity, yeah. My bike, I thought the battery had went out on it just before we left, so I bought a new battery the day before we left. And by the time we got down there, I think it was our last gas stop. Just before our last gas stop, I noticed my lights were flickering and some other stuff was going on. And our last gas stop, we were probably 100 miles away from what's his name? Pastor G's house.
Yeah.
And stopped for gas, called G, told him where we were at, and I went out to start the bike, and what happened?
It did not start.
Nothing happened.
It looked like a wasteland out there.
It did look like a wasteland where we were, so just so happened these people, some people were out in the parking lot. Whenever there's kids, especially around, I'll stop them, talk to them about Jesus a little bit, and hand them those cross pennies. And I was talking to this family there, and so when the bike didn't start, I happened to look over. So, oh, and by the way, you wouldn't happen to have jumper cables, do you? And another guy in a truck next to us, like, I do. So he come over and he jumped us, and the bike did start, and we made it to Pastor G's.
Yeah.
And so, needless to say, found out it was a stator in a motorcycle, which cost me. Well, I didn't have my bike for 4 days and cost me $800 to fix the motorcycle to be able to get home. So that was the only kind of downer part. But you know what? We're supposed to glory in the Lord in all things, right? Even the bad stuff. And we didn't let it get to us, did we? No, because somebody else borrowed us what to ride? What? Mustang GT, baby. 5-speed, right? That was a nice car, wasn't it? Billy Lilly. You recognize that name?
Yep.
Yeah, Billy Lilly. He always borrows me his Mustang when we go down there if it's raining out or something. And so, yeah, we ended up getting the Mustang. So I wasn't bumming at all. I was glorying in the Lord big time then, right? And we happened to get the bike back before the Jericho ride. So we did get on the Jericho ride. And so a lot of stuff happened down there in Virginia, man. It was a whole week. And so what was going on that week that we were down there? What kind of special day was it, one of those days?
I forgot the name.
Was it your birthday?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it was your birthday, and I didn't even tell Pastor G. And so how many birthday parties did you have when we were down there?
4.
4 birthday parties. What was the first one?
That Mexican restaurant. They tried to feed me ice cream, but it was fake. Shoved up the nose.
So yeah, they had already had it planned out. I didn't even know about it. And ate at a Mexican restaurant, and then all the staff came out with this cake, and the girls came out and sang to yeah. And one of the girls put ice cream in his mouth, and he went down for it. And she went right up his nose with it, and so that was your first birthday thing. And there were a couple others at Mexican restaurants that they had planned out. What was the what was the other cool one?
Trying to remember this.
That was the big one.
The big one.
The big one when we were down by the water when we had the service out there at the
that
park.
river. So these Mexican people were doing a birthday party for their daughter, and I did not expect, but they set something up for me too.
Yeah, I didn't expect it either. None of the birthday parties I was aware of. So it was a huge birthday party this Mexican family had for one of their daughters, and she was coming of age in their culture, so it was a pretty big party. And they had her table set up, and they had a table set up for you, and they were setting that whole thing up without you even knowing about it. And they finally put "Happy Birthday, Dylan" up on the table,
and I was just in the river.
In the river, yeah. You come up, all of a sudden there's this table devoted to you with presents and stuff, and a lot of baptisms that day. Remember how many baptisms we did in the river that day?
No idea.
It was 13. I think we did 13 or 15 baptisms that day.
And I believe that one baptism, that man that could barely walked out of the river.
Barely walk. This black man. He was awesome, man. He could barely walk. He's old. He's a veteran. He walked up in that cold mountain water coming down off the mountains. Cold. Listen, I live up on Lake Superior, and that's cold water, but that water was cold too. And he went in there. He got baptized, and he walked himself. I mean, he had 3 people. He was a bigger man. He had 3 people helping him out there. And he's like, man, I got this. And he walked right out of there. What a miracle that was. You got to see a real-life miracle.
Yep.
Yeah, amen. So, yeah, a couple other birthday parties at Mexican restaurants, and we did the Jericho ride down there. And what do you remember about Billy? Billy Lily's my guy. Billy Lily is my man. I mean, Pastor G's my guy, but Billy is my guy. And so you and him kind of hit it off pretty good.
Yeah.
You guys hung out a lot.
And, of course, I forget the name. I think it was Rebecca. Huh?
Rebecca, you mean his girl?
Yeah.
His girl.
Said if you hang out with him, you'll lose brain cells.
If you hang out with him, you'll lose brain cells. Did you lose any brain cells?
Probably.
So what was cool about Billy's bike?
Billy's...
Salty. And who's Salty?
That skeleton.
He had a big skeleton on the back of his motorcycle, facing back. And you liked that, didn't you? You thought it was cool. So what did Billy give you?
Salty Jr.
Yep. Before we left, he had Dylan come over, said, I got something for you to remember me by, and gave him a little kind of a rubbery green skeleton. Green, right? Green skeleton?
No, it was red.
Red. Called Salty Jr. And he gave you that for
I can go get it.
You can go get it. All right, you got to hurry up. Well, he wants to show you Salty. So the next thing we did is we were setting up for that. Like I said, we wanted to take some pictures of that concert because got hired to go do a concert they had in Spooner, and I think it was the second annual one called Freedom Fest. And so don't like country music at all. But I really love doing photography. And by this time, I was already almost a year into doing photography, and I was getting a little better at it. And I really enjoyed the concert. And there was a band there I never heard of before, but I guess they've been around for like 30 or 35 years called Black Hawk. They had 4 bands there, and Black Hawk was one of them. 38 Special was the biggest one. I did not like 38 Special. They'd forget it. But so they're Salty. So that was Billy's gift to you to remember him by. Yep. So Dylan did 3,000 miles on that motorcycle with no complaints, and he's ready to do it again next year. Virginia is something I do every year. And even though this was my last year being on the road full time, I'm not doing any more events anymore except for things I've already got hooked up. And Virginia is one of them. This was my 5th year down there, and I'll do it every year because that's like a second family to me down there.
Mm-hmm.
I think my most special time down there, and I know this is your show, but my most special time because I've been going down there. I've known Billy and Adonica. That's his girl's name.
Oh,
I've
okay.
known Billy and Adonica every year I've been down there. Matter of fact, if you look on my video list, there's a testimony that I did with Billy Lilly. Billy got saved when we went down there during one of our first times down there. So he's very close and near and dear to my heart with the transformation in this guy's life, just amazing. But Billy and Adonica have been together for a while. They had a lot of ups and downs, and we weren't really married, and a lot of things, that's been part of their lives that had to get fixed before Adonica would accept Billy. And been trying the last 2 years, man. Been trying to get them guys married, and I know not just me, but everybody down in Virginia. And finally, he had said something to me the last couple days I was there about, can you do marriages down here? And I was like, oh, what's up, man? We gonna do this? Let's do this. So, long story short, we ended up last day down there. We ended up getting them married
Mm-hmm.
down on that river. They had their family there, and got them hitched.
And then after that, we were going for food, and then another
Ice cream birthday party. Yep, the fourth and final. So that was awesome. While you were gone, I was telling people about the concert we were at up in Spooner, the Freedom
Yeah.
Fest. Yep. So talk about Black Hawk. Never heard of them before. Don't like country, but they were really good. And remember that the lead singer and guitar player for Black Hawk was walking around the whole day and
Mm-hmm.
talking with us. He was pretty cool, man. And he really loved our pictures. And so Black Hawk, you're the only country western band I'll listen to. But following you guys, and I love you.
38
So
Special.
yeah.
They were just stuck always getting the food first.
Yep.
They never came out.
I didn't say that. He did. Stuck up. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, after that, we did Revin for Devin.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a special one. Usually, Devin is a kid who's been bedbound, been bedbound all his life, that can't talk and all that kind of stuff. And every year, the Triple Valley Faith Riders do a thing called Revin for Devin, and all the bikers get together and we do a run. We meet somewhere close to there, and then we go down the road. He's at a dead end road there with his mom and his caretakers, and we drive by one at a time. We rev up our engines and squeal our tires out and everything else, and then we all dismount after we did that, and we walk through and we pray with the guy and do all. So we've been doing that for a few years, but this last year he died.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was the funeral that my chocolate bars died.
That's the funeral the chocolate bars died. So yeah, it was a sad but joyful occasion because Devin is no longer bedbound. He's dancing in heaven with the Lord, and he's talking up a storm with the Lord, I'm sure. So it was that, and bringing his ashes and going and visiting his grave. So that was pretty cool. And then we did One Fest. So One Fest in Chippewa Falls is a Christian music festival. I think this is a fourth year they did it. And this year I had gotten asked by one of my good friends from 513 Free, Jesse Hamble, if I'd be willing to do photography work for One Fest. So I stayed down there that whole 2 days with my good faith rider friend Rick. And remember that, man? And stay with Rick, and that was the only thing you weren't with me on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I had to do it myself. So you came down the second day though with to watch Skillet and all that. So you got to do that, and then we went to Thrive Fest. Remember Thrive Fest, North Dakota? So that was another Christian music festival. Where did we stay? Did we stay at we stayed at a hotel. And what was the big band there? I was wanting you to meet somebody, the main band singer, which didn't happen. Remember? Jeremy Camp. Yep, Jeremy Camp. So a lot of music artists there, but Jeremy Camp was the big one at the end, and we didn't get to meet him. Matter of fact, he didn't even show his face either, did he? And as soon as they got done, they were the only band that didn't do a meet and greet. And as soon as they got done, security picked him up and they left. So I was kind of bummed about that. I really wanted you to meet him, but you did meet with some people there, including one of the artists, right? And did they have something for you? Remember, almost right away, that guy. What did he do?
He gave us a music disc and a wristband that said "Strong plus Brave."
Strong plus brave. and him and his wife did music, and she sang that weekend, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, she has a beautiful voice, and you listen to that CD every now and then, don't you?
Mhm.
So met some cool people, some cool bands there, and then we went to Iowa. Once or twice a year, I usually get asked down to Faith, the Free Church, Free Church in Iowa. And so what did we? I think we stayed in a hotel down there too. Oh yeah, with the Mexican guys hotel. Remember, right behind the gas station there. So I spoke at the church that day. Thrive Fest. I was also one of the speakers there on stage on Saturday night. So did the Free Church, and then we did the Powerhouse at Ladysmith. Remember that, the youth center in Ladysmith?
Mhm.
What we do there?
You did some preaching about you did your testimony, and then after that there was some. I'm gonna do the games first.
Okay. Talk to them though.
They had goggles that made it look like you're drunk. There was basketball. There was a throwing game, and then after that there was a cart ride, and every time you finish it, you get different types of goggles on. After you do the last one, you barely can even see. It's just multiple
cones. There were cones. You had to go through through the cones.
And then at the last one, it looked like there was 10 times more.
It was, and then they had you walk the line, right, and walk the stairs with the goggles on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was kind of a drug and alcohol awareness event.
And then I heard someone say, I do this with my eyes closed.
So yeah, it was pretty cool. There wasn't many kids there, but we had a really good time, and the kids that were there were just dead on listening to the message that we had for them, and so you got to experience goggles that made it feel like you were drunk.
Then there were tickets.
There were tickets.
I won a baguette pillow.
A bagel pillow.
Baguette.
A baguette pillow.
And then two
pillow
lanterns.
Looks like bread.
2 lanterns.
And a shirt or sweatshirt.
Eggnog.
Eggnog.
I heard
eggnog shirt.
But my brother broke one of the lanterns.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And there were a couple other places you were at where you won stuff too, even before that. But that was one of the places you won multiple prizes because there weren't many kids there.
And then this is probably not on the list, but that one place with the huge amount of popcorn.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
We'll talk about that. So then, Hope in the Tent. Remember that up in Wausau, that huge tent that they had set up? That was our first time doing it. Bob Schneider had a thing called Hope in the Tent. And it was just a huge, almost like a revival tent. I think it was 120 feet long, and they had told them not to put the last 20 feet on that. But it was their first time doing that, and we had 3 different sessions to speak at. And the second session, the first session we didn't have many people, probably 10 or 15. But by the third one, we had about 25, 30 people. And the TLC house in Wausau that just had a ribbon cutting here a month or 2 ago. Pastor Yao, they did a lot there too. They had their people come in and do the concessions and stuff. And I got to see the TLC house the week before it was to be opened up. Man, what an awesome place they got going there. Pastor Yao has really been blessed by the Lord and the stuff that the Lord has entrusted him with in that area, and working with the broken and the addict. So, and then the last thing we did here, well, almost last, was Rescued and Redeemed. Remember the last one we went to here in Eau Claire? And that's where you won the popcorn?
Oh, yeah.
So how big was that bag of? So yeah, they had Rescued and Redeemed is a anti-sex trafficking event that they do yearly to raise funds for a house that they want to build for girls coming out of the sex trade industry. And they have a silent auction that's just gargantuan. There's hundreds of things back there, right?
We tried the bid on Yeti cups and a little coffee set, and the cup said hubby and wifey.
Yep. Yep, but we didn't get them though. A
No.
good thing though too, because somebody way outbid us and bid way past what those were worth, and that's what it's about. Not getting it cheap, but it's about making money for these people. But they had some pretty big prizes out front. They had a big smoker unit and a bunch of other stuff, and then they had this bag of popcorn. How you weighed that bag of it's caramel corn and apple caramel corn, and the bag was almost as tall as Dylan, and we weighed it. How much did it weigh?
37 pounds.
37 pounds. And we all sat down and had a movie night, and we all look at them though, and we all had a big bowl of popcorn out of that. Did it do anything to the bag? No, didn't put a dent in the bag.
And the prizes that they were up front is the stove.
A stove.
Yeah. A Packers helmet.
Packers helmet and some signed autographed pictures of some of the Packers. Yeah.
To prove it was signed.
Verification.
The popcorn
The
and
popcorn.
why can't I remember it?
You know, there's a lot of stuff. But we can't have radio silence too long.
No.
Okay. So yeah, that was the last event you were at. So that's a lot of things for a year and a half. Did you enjoy yourself?
Yep.
We put a lot of miles, a lot of flying miles, a lot of time together on the road, didn't we? You know what my favorite part of the whole time together was? And I keep telling people this. I think I mentioned it almost every time I spoke at these events, because I think it was when we were coming back from South Dakota, or maybe it was after, and we were home and we were just driving to town or something, and you looked at me and said, "You know what my favorite thing is, Dad?" And I said, "What? What'd you say?"
Spending time with you.
Spending time with you. That's out of my last year and a half with you. That's my favorite memory, and that probably didn't even happen on the road, but it's been. Everybody keeps telling me when I tell them what we've been doing together the last year and a half, they keep telling me, "Man, that's something that Dylan is never going to forget. He's always going to have those memories." You know what I say? No, that's something I'm never going to forget. I'm going to have these memories because it has been the most blessed year and a half of my life. Hanging out with you. Getting to know you. And just being real with each other. And letting you see what my life is like. To see if this is what the Lord has for you. Because regardless of what you do, and I tell you this all the time, I ain't never going to tell you what to do with your life and your career. But if this is really what you want to do, you definitely got the talent and the skills and the charisma, the talkativeness, that's for sure. Because you love to talk to people, don't you? Especially older people. So it's been a great joy in my life. So what was your favorite thing out of this last year and a half, besides winning all that popcorn? Which he ended up bringing to. I said, "Why don't you bring that to school and have the teachers dole it out to everybody?" And it's still a full bag, pretty much, right?
Yeah, but it's only got rid of this.
Got rid of that much
because there's 17 kids in our class.
So, what was your most memorable time out of all that?
I think Georgia.
Georgia. And John? All the things you guys did together down there? Yeah. So, it looks like some people have been asking, what's his favorite memory? Mom said that. Angel Joy said, praising Jesus for the baptisms. Amen. There was a lot of baptisms that day. And I don't know if it was 15 or 25 or something. It was a crazy number. We had like maybe 10 or 12 of those planned, and then other people just started coming forth. And Angel Joy said, praising Jesus for these wonderful memories, blessings. So thank you, Mom. And thank you, Angel of Joy. And whoever that might be. I don't think I've ever seen Angel of Joy before. Blessings to you, Angel of Joy. Thank you for responding. So this has been a really long one. We're going on 40 minutes. So if anybody watches this, it'll be a miracle, because people's attention span for YouTube is so limited. That's why when I do videos, I try to keep them to 10 minutes, because people might watch the first 2 or 3 minutes. But if they're interested, they'll watch 10. But I don't know if they'll watch 40.
I don't know. Because usually some people try and find like 2-hour videos.
2-hour video? So should we make this 2 hours? You want to talk for 2 hours? Because
No.
you can.
I can, but...
You can. So you had to stop being on the road with me for 2 reasons. One, because this was my last year on the road, and that that Rescue and Redeem was my last event until next April, which I will be going to do a Gideon convention down in Missouri. So I'm not taking on anything new. I'm still going to do Gideon conventions. I'm still going. We're still going to do the Virginia trip every year and Thrive Fest every year. And I would have a hard time refusing any youth groups or schools because I really love speaking life into kids. But other than that, I'm done on the road. Lord really wants me at this church to focus being a shepherd, and I can't do that when I'm gone all the time. So, gonna miss being on the road with you all that much. We'll be back on the road next year for that. But because you're in school now, you were homeschooled, but you're in a Christian school now, so I can't have you on the road with me to take you out of school for any of that anymore. But your interest still didn't stop there, right? You think you were talking one day about 2 weeks ago about learning a new language, and I happened to bring up, well, I'm been learning Greek. You want to learn Greek with me? And what was your reply?
Yep.
Yep. So he is now learning Greek with me and having him go through the alphabet. He's got the first 5 letters down already. What are they?
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon.
And we learned it in the song, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, and then it keeps going.
And then they, of course, had to do the cowbell.
The cowbell. Did it with the cowbell. More cowbell always. You don't understand that quite yet, but we'll have to teach you about cowbell. Any last words? What did you learn from all this? What did you take away from all this? I've never seen you speechless before. Well, all I know in observing you have a great joy like I do of being around people.
Yep.
And talking to people and conversing. You've been like that since you were little. And I really think that the Lord's got that kind of ministry for you, pastoral ministry or evangelistic ministry. You'll be really good at it. Anything you do, I know you put your heart to. So, and you love the Lord a lot, and you're always going to follow His will. So whatever He's got, you'll be good at it. All right. Any last words to the people? Gee, you are not this non-talkative, dude.
I know.
All right. Well, we'll sign off for now because we're already at 42 minutes. So
Yay.
We love you, but Jesus loves you more. Bye.